I regret what happened in Nairobi County and across the country yesterday. What was supposed to be a peaceful demonstration was not peaceful. Lots of people ended up losing their lives. So many others were injured. And on top of it, a lot of people lost property. And Nairobi came to a standstill, as did many other parts of the country. And I want to appeal to the civil society organizations and all those that have good, huge followings on social media, that we have only one country. And if we do not respect that we have only one country and the situation that this country finds itself right now, with heightened unemployment, with limited budgets to fulfill the needs of the entire country, you know, just coming out and calling and, you know, thinking it's a beautiful selfie moment, let's undermine the police service and expect them to serve us. Seeing a policewoman get brutally kicked by the public, seeing another policeman get attacked. I'm not saying that what the police did in terms of exercising, you know, not exercising restraint and shooting innocent participants in the demonstrations. What I want to say is, when you push the police to the limits that we are pushing them, knowing that there's one policeman for 500, and when we threaten their own safety, then we are also asking for trouble. And I believe that everybody yesterday is culpable. It's not just the police that shot. Those who also called for these demonstrations and funded them and caused the mayhem that they did. Because if it's peaceful demonstrations, then no county will be on shutdown. But a lot of the country came on shutdown yesterday. When you say that you're having peaceful demonstrations for memorials, and then you end up saying you want to occupy State House, and that is where you're going, then you're actually looking to overthrow a government, and that cannot be allowed. We have to understand that we have one country, and we have to work together. We're in a bad place in terms of the economy, and the president is trying as much as possible to get us back on track as a country, but the opposition is taking advantage and trying to misuse poverty, trying to divide us on tribal lines, and trying to cause mayhem. The lives that were lost is not blood on the police hands. It's blood on the politicians that funded this. It is blood on the civil society movements. And I also want to talk to Kenya Law Society. You know, you're the law society, not just for the civil society. You're the law society for the entire country. You're the law society for that woman who lost her shop. You're the law society for that mother who lost her child. You're the law society for the many policemen that were also injured. So I really say that, you know, this country needs to take a break and focus on allowing the government to do the job that it wants to do. It's like they want to undermine the government so that they can actually move in, but that's not the way to win an election. Tell the public what you're going to do for them. Show them by example what you're going to do for them. Before I became an elected woman, leader of parliament, I was already a leader. I had already done the projects of Adopt a Light. I was already employing deaf people. What are you doing? You came out of government, you want to get into government, and you're promising things. We have a former Chief Justice who's also trying to do that. So for me, I really feel that we need to focus on ensuring that we have peace in this country.
Honorable Bensouda, what is out of order?
Don't tell me to sit. We are legislators. We
Honorable Bensouda,
right,
address the speaker.
Thank you, Speaker. I'm sorry I withdraw. What I wanted to ask, is it in order? We are debating NGCDF GAF, but I'm hearing very, very fundamental contribution on police brutality and any other issue that we should do. Could the contributor, the honorable member for from Nairobi County, explain whether that is related to enshrining NGCDF GAF into the Constitution? Thank you.
Honorable Passaris, by the standing orders, you will maintain relevance to the debate.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. But I cannot be ignorant of what happened in my county yesterday and in the country at large. As legislators and representatives of the people, it will be amiss on me not to offer condolences to all the people that have lost their loved ones and continue to lose their loved ones because civil society cannot hold itself and its horses, and the political wing is also trying to undermine the country. Madam Speaker, as I stand here, I speak as a patron of NGAF. I have seen all these funds, NGAF and NGCDF, being riddled with many, many court battles. And the thing is, nobody wants to understand the impact that these funds have on the society. When you look at NGCDF, the first time I came to know was NGCDF when I got into Parliament was when the late Honorable Ken Okoth called me to Kibra and showed me we were opening a school that was funded by NGCDF. It was not him that funded it. It was not Kibra, Ken Okoth, who funded it. It was him, and him as the MP ensuring that the fund that was provided for Kibra was actually doing the job that it's supposed to be done, and making sure that the direction and the standards he's giving and guidance. But the fund was actually being oversighted by committee members appointed and an NGCDF board member. So they were the ones who took and owned the project. But him as the area MP would give leadership. For instance, I am the patron of NGAF. NGAF receives a lot of money, for Constituency Development Fund. NGAF receives a lot of money in terms of various votes. One of the votes that we have is county-wide vote. And in the county-wide vote, when we realized that the committee members came and said, we have a problem with SGBV, we actually decided to save the money, look for the land, and we're putting up the first county-owned safe house and shelter in Nairobi County. That would not have been done if we just said that we leave everything to the governors and the executive. Nobody had thought of building a safe house in Nairobi. And I've seen a number of women reps also deal with safe houses, deal with rehab centers. So there are gaps and there are voids. And those gaps and voids are being filled with these funds. We also have a situation where, for instance, during COVID, we had Mama Fuas come to us and say, you know what, now we can't go into people's houses to wash clothes because of COVID. And our businesses are going down. This is how we raise our money. NGAF together, the committee sat together and said, why don't we create stations for them to be able to operate? So we put in washing machines, dryers, and ironing boards and gave them the equipment so that they would be able to conduct their business. So that was something that a gap is bridged by the National Government Affirmative Action Fund. There's so many other projects. We also empower people to be able to start businesses in terms of portion meals, in terms of TV centers, in terms of motorbikes for the border. This fund has its role. And I believe to always be going into court, in and out of court, and derailing the progress of the funds in terms of bursaries, in terms of affirmative action, in terms of persons living with disability provisions, in terms of education, in terms of police stations. I've seen police stations funded. I mean, when you go to Ruaraka, Honorable TJ Kajwang has put a police station. These are gaps. We even had the judiciary once come and engage us as members of parliament and saying, you know, we need courts and we want you to help allocate some money for us to build courts closer to the people. So for me, this fund needs to be entrenched in law so that it stops being taken to and from, so that it can continue the good work that it's done. After 20 years, you come back and say this fund should be gone. Do you know other countries actually want the fund because the MPs are not able to actually see that the grassroots is getting met in terms of its need. So, Madam Speaker, as I stand here, I really hope that we will be able to entrench this into law, and I hope that NGAF can also be apportioned to a percentage like NGCDF, so as the economy grows, NGAF fund grows. It cannot be a standard blanket 3 billion. It has to be entrenched into law so that we can be able to grow as the economy grows. So I stand here and I support all these funds so that we can be able to effectively deliver what we've been delivering to the grassroots in real time as it's required through the various structures that have been put in place, where I am just a patron, the MP is just a patron, and we can be able to ensure that our people are served very well. Thank you very much.
Member for Nambale, Honorable Geoffrey Mulanya.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to add my voice on this particular bill. Madam Speaker, the fight against NGCDF is not just the fight on the fund. This is a misplaced fight whereby we find many people wants to fight members of parliament. They wrongly direct the anchor onto this particular fund. Madam Speaker, when you walk around the country, you realize the gains made by this particular fund. And especially in my constituency where I come from, in Nambale, we have many schools that have been constructed, new schools that have been brought up using NGCDF. And Madam Speaker, you know that Article 53 guarantees the Kenyan children free basic education. How do you achieve this? It will not be achievable, Madam Speaker, if our children are covering a distance of 2-3 kilometers to go and come back from school. And Madam Speaker, in Nambale constituency, we have earmarked 6 new schools. To achieve this, the only fund that can help the people of Nambale is the NGCDF.